Okay. Okay, sure. So let's start again.
Okay, let's start again. All right, perfect. Sounds great.
Okay. So hi, everyone. Hope you all are having an amazing day. I'm Athena from MetaGods, and I'll be your host. Today, we have invited Michael, also known as BOXMINING, to join us here for an AMA session. I'm sure most of you already know Michael, but in case any of you are wondering, Michael is one of the biggest influencers in the crypto space with over 400K followers on Twitter and YouTube. He has also been one of MetaGod's biggest supporters, and it's our honor to have Michael here today. So without further ado, should we get started, Michael?
Sure. Thanks for the really amazing welcome.
So let me briefly go through the rundown. Our AMA will be separated into two parts. First, our team has prepared a few questions for Michael. And after this, Michael will be picking 5 best questions from the community to answer. And these 5 questions will also be awarded. So everyone, be sure to have your questions ready. So first things first, Michael, can you tell our community more about yourself and how you got into GameFi?
Awesome. So it's kind of an interesting story. So I actually started the gaming space around I think it's almost 2016-ish.
Wow.
Well, actually a little bit before that. So 2014, I started actual gaming. So that's my background prior to crypto. Prior to my crypto life, I did some gaming. And then one of the first things I wanted to do when I got into gaming was, into crypto. So that was kind of like when I started BOXMINING channel 2016 was I always try to look for that connection between gaming and crypto. And it makes a lot of logical sense because the people who kind of understand, digital items, digital assets, they're going to be gamers. And this is something that I was kind of looking to the start. So I started off very early in the GameFi scene, like kind of prior to this whole run. So I was one of the earliest investors in Engine. And it's one of the projects that I would say it's like they kind of were the ones that built the standards for everything now, right? So you have the ERC 1155, and they were the guys who kind of pioneered the start. So it was one of those first projects I got into, and I kind of saw the potential very early. And obviously, I was very lucky to be part of that entire journey for them. So I think if you kind of look at the prices, they kind of ICO'd at around 2 cents-ish, and then they shot up to above $1. So that was a very fun journey for me to just follow that scene and just see this whole thing blow up. So right now they're sitting above $1, so they're $1.08. So from 2 cents to $1.80, that's like my first big 50x project. So GameFi really did take off for me. I mean, obviously, there were other things that did pretty well because, if you come from 2016, 17 times, I think you got a pretty good journey. But for me, I think something that was quite special, I think I talked about very early on, was GameFi. And I kind of followed the whole GameFi space from 2016 levels too. So at that time, I went to the Game Developer Conference, which is a very prestigious conference for game developers, and they actually share a good amount of information regarding games and developing games. And during that conference, if you saw 2017, all the gamers, all the game devs shunned crypto. Like, the moment they hear, it's a blockchain project, they're like, their immediate reaction is, let me get away from that. And I followed that, 2017, 2018, 2019, and you can see that momentum kind of gain massive momentum until pretty much 20 times when, we finally have that proof of concept, I would say, which is Axie Infinity become a $1 billion project. So I think this is like the very beginning of this GameFi venture. The potential is massive, I would honestly say, in this space where I think we barely, like Axie, I honestly barely think scraped the beginning of what this can do. They kind of made a reality of this kind of, play to earn concept, right? This was discussed all the way in 2017. We were waiting for a flagship, and Axie turned out to be the first flagship. But at the same time, Axie wasn't a very, I'm not gonna shit talk Axie here, but Axie itself wasn't it's not the most in-depth game, right? It's a 2D game. It's got lots of good mechanics, but it's kind of hidden behind a lot of very complicated breeding system, and it's very user unfriendly. So I would say it's one of those games that if you start playing, and I try to get gamers to play this, and the first thing you'll be asked to do is pay $500 to buy your Axie. So that's gonna be hard, right? For the average, especially if you're imagining people who are like, let's say just a range of players, right? And ranging from hardcore, midcore to softcore, and softcore being your kind of Candy Crush players, and hardcore being your League of Legends addicts. You kind of see that actually kind of sits in this weird mid-core level where it's like it's not very accessible. Like the graphics kind of present it as something easy to access, but it's not as easy as it could be. And I feel like there's this huge realm of possibility that can allow people who just regular play games, maybe 1 or 2 hours a day, or maybe 5 minutes to 10 minutes a day waiting for a bus or something. Like they can start enjoying the space, and they can enjoy the benefits of having, play to earn gaming around. And of course, obviously this will actually lead to people coming to play, or rather to go into crypto as well. So it's a huge kind of point into that. So I guess that's not a very big story about me, but that's kind of a story of my investment background in the gaming space, where I kind of followed this journey, and I want to continue following this journey. And I think it's just a super exciting journey to be in. So I hope that fills you guys in on what's up and what's happening.
Thank you so much, Michael. I'm sure the community was really hyped after hearing that you're also a gamer yourself. So my second question is, what do you think about the trend of crypto in 2022, especially in GameFi?
Ooh, that's a very, very, very loaded question. And I tweeted about this too, because it's on multiple levels. I mean, I started off with hyping everything, but obviously 2022 is a very interesting time because we've had so many games explode in 2020 and 2021, right? So instead of having too few games, we, like, in the whole sense of the crypto style, we had way too many games. And the unfortunate side effect of this is that, it's going to be very hard to filter out the good games from the bad. And this is kind of what's happening right now in 2022, where a lot of people kind of view GameFi as something that's kind of past, right? It's not as hot as it was in 2021. People aren't, degen buying into GameFi projects. And now people are looking with very high expectations of games coming out. And to be honest, right, with the amount of money flowing into GameFi, 2022, we don't really see that many flagships, to be honest, right? I'll be brutally honest here. I mean, if you think about it, Axie, they started off with around actually less than $1 million of funding, right? So they started off with $1 million and they made a $1 billion project. Now we've been seeing games that are getting, 2 million, 3, 4, 5 mil per game. And we've been seeing hundreds of these games. And they've been launching and they haven't been gaining that traction. So I think we're in this phase where people might be a little bit confused. They might be wondering, oh man, is GameFi a failure? I think the people who don't understand game development, they'll be very confused right now. So I do want to clarify that up as well, because I think it's important to understand that game development is a very long process and long and arduous process. So even if you look at Axie and their timeline, right, they kind of finished the funding right after the crypto bubble burst, and it took almost 2 to 3 years to actually finish building that game. And I think we're in that phase where the good games, they're spending some time building. They're still in the, I think, just past the prototype phase, which is why, it's something like MetaGods, I've been speaking to them a lot, the core team and you guys a lot. And it's like, it takes a long time to figure out a good game mechanic. It's very easy to clone a game, which is something that we've seen as well. I think a lot of people are drawn to the easy victories. They're like, oh, we want a game immediately. We want an iOS game. We want an Android game. We want this to immediately pop out. And a lot of times what we're seeing with these games is that they are just a reskin of an existing game, because that's the fastest way to deliver a game, right? If you kind of take an existing game that's moderately successful, reskin that, and then immediately launch that, it takes 3 to 6 months. But something that we know is that this is completely not going to be successful for crypto, because those games that they are based on are not designed for crypto. Then there's nothing different between those games and all these other clones out there of the same exact game. So if you're white labeling a game, if you're just kind of reskinning it, then the success rate is gonna be, well, exactly what expect of a reskin game, which is not very successful. So rather, what I'm looking for in this space is or are game developers that are quite strong, have a good understanding, have a very good understanding of crypto games, right? Crypto native games. They understand that trading will be a core pillar of the game. They design the game around the trading system, because you can't avoid that. That's kind of intrinsic here. And they are also fast at developing and prototyping, which is, yet again, it's not so obvious when you put it there, because, MetaGods is it's a 2D, right? Like a lot of people, I think, they're being drawn to something that's like Illuvium, which is, oh my God, 3D next gen graphics. Oh my God, it's it looks bloody fantastic, right? But unfortunately, with that, it means it's a higher development time. Of course, they have less time to prototype. They have less time to make a good, fun gameplay, and more importantly, they have less time to develop those core game loops that really kind of highlight crypto. Like if you can see how NFT space is popping up, they're kind of embracing the trading aspect. They're embracing rarity. They're embracing being able to cross into different metaverses. So I actually think that right now we're almost in the prototype phase for crypto gaming. Even though we there's a lot of money that's been flowing into the space and we kind of expect the moon, I'm kind of lowering everyone's expectations here and saying, you know what, we're still kind of in the prototype sandbox phase. And that's actually going to be, that's what I see in 2022. I see that kind of experimentation going on. So, yeah.
Thank you, Michael. So I hear that you say you look into a lot of dev updates from games. Are there any characteristics that you're looking for in a GameFi project, like what signals and stuff like that?
Great question. Very hard question too. And I'm going to stall for time by commenting from Blue Fox. He says, agree with Athena's voice. It's lovely. So you got a lovely voice, Athena. Thanks for doing all this. And then we got some comments from the community saying, hey, it's the first time hearing the MetaGods team, so I guess you guys should do that more often. So I do have to say to the community here that I do have the privilege of being able to call these guys once in a while to get updates and then roast them on stuff, which is why I'm confident enough to talk about this project and come to this channel and talk about it. It's harder because obviously did I just mute myself? Yeah, I think I muted myself. Okay, so going back to your question, which could warrant a very long response, I'll have to say this, right? So I like teams that do experiment and they kind of look at gameplay aspects that are different. And I want to call back to Hearthstone. Can you guys hear me? Sorry. Okay, should be fine, I think. Okay, it says I'm speaking, so I'm just gonna continue. I think Athena got booted out, but okay. So Jack says we can hear now. So I'm looking for expectation. So something that I do want to highlight here is that if you look at Hearthstone, which is Blizzard's kind of trading card game, they spent around 2 years experimenting with gameplay, and I think a lot of players don't know this, but you can actually review a few of their talks on GDC where they highlight the development process. So what they did is that initially Blizzard wanted to push this game out fast. But the devs were, or rather the game designers were kind of unsure of how the mechanics will work there. So what they said is they're like, you know what, hold up a minute, just wait. Give us like 6 to 12 months to build a prototype, and they actually built out cards, like physical cards, and tested a few mechanics first in the game rather than just like charging out and making something that looks pretty. And when they first built the game, also they tried as hard as they can not to make it pretty. So they actually built the game in Flash, which is infamously bad, right? If you actually follow development, Flash is the last thing you want to use. And they said they wanted to use this because they wanted to force the devs to prototype, like their programmers to prototype rather than to build a final product. And then they're going to scrap it completely. So they know that they're going to burn this down in the future. So that was an interesting choice. And I feel like what I'm looking for here to directly answer questions is for experimentation and prototyping. So that's kind of more important. So I say something like Good Mary asking, when's the engine preview on mobile and stuff. Like this stuff is easy to sort out, to be honest. All right. I think we just got cut off just now. I think it's Telegram being Telegram. So this is probably Telegram chat is probably built very poorly. So yeah, so we're looking at people hopping back on. So you guys have to just click the button. So
let's just wait for a few seconds for people to rejoin.
Right. So yeah, I was trying to answer Good Mary's question and just push something like that. So. To just continue that discussion, so something like building an Android, building an iOS is probably like a one click right now. If you're using Unity, which I know you guys are, Unity directly builds for iOS very quickly. But rather, I think this experimentation phase, so that's what I'm kind of eyeing for here. So there's actually quite a lot of room to explore experimentation, especially with casual mode coming in MetaGods. I feel like that's kind of where, especially when it's kind of casual. It gives you a lot of room to experiment. So I feel like that's kind of what I'm looking forward to. I'm looking for kind of novel ideas happening here. So rather than just directly copying other games, I'm looking for some unique mechanics, something to do with the land, something to tie in that land. And the land is actually kind of interesting, right? Because the land in MetaGods, it's one of the first lands that directly kind of tie into the game. Because if you think about it, the land allows the land hold. I know you guys are all losing patience with this. It seems like Telegram seems to be constantly disconnecting us.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's hop back in.
Yep. Ashal says, it's okay. Next time we can consider Discord. The platform is much better for Void.
That's true. Maybe we should consider that.
Discord next time. Discord. Sigh. I wonder if you can actually both do. Anything is better than system.
Yep.
I mean, this reminds me of the old Clubhouse days, right? Clubhouse was just as bad too. So I'm pretty sure they're just using the Clubhouse engine for this.
Yeah. Is everyone back?
All right, I think we've got everyone back. But if we disconnect again, let's go and switch over to Discord. All right, so sure. I'm gonna make Nathan says Clubhouse during the pandemic. I remember it was so bad. I remember. I just remember when like CZ and stuff were doing one, and they just constantly disconnected. It was really bad. But anyways, okay, hopping on. But I do see that novelty with the land. So I'm kind of like interested in how that land can fit into the game and what else can be built around kind of players owning that land. Because yet again, these are kind of exploration areas. It's never been done in even the traditional gaming space, right? You never have this level of ownership. You never have this level of community building. So I think this is something that's actually special. That's what I'm looking for. I'm kind of looking for mechanics that are not found in traditional gaming. Right, something that's not experimented there, and I think it's gonna, I also view blockchain gaming as a way to rejuvenate traditional gaming too. I kind of find the current set of traditional gaming is like it's still every game's the same game, right? It's like it's yet another League of Legends clone, or rather yet another Pubg clone, or yet another Fortnite. So I kind of see that traditional gaming also needs a little bit of rejuvenation as well. And in many ways, being able to experiment with the community, I think that's kind of interesting. And that's the area we should go, rather than going the Ubisoft way, which is let's put some skins, let's put some additional skins and make additional money, because that's gonna work every day.
Right. Okay. So my next question is, I know everyone is suffering from the bear market. What can GameFi projects such as MetaGods do to benefit from bear market?
All right, I'm gonna put you on the rope. You gotta play a game, man. You gotta get the game out. It gotta be entertaining. It says second this. But that being said, of course, right now the market is a little bit boring, I would say. It was kind of funny. So prior to this, I was in the chopping block. So it's a YouTube discussion, right? So it's a YouTube podcast show, and who did it have? It had like big hitters, right? It has Andre Krone. I mean, he pretty much spearheaded DeFi. It had Robert Leshner from Compound, yet again, $1 billion project. This guy's probably a billionaire. And guess how many viewers there were on that YouTube video? Okay, I think she did. All right, you guys guess how many there were. All right, chat, guess how many. So big hitters. Andre, controversial character, I know, but he probably made a lot of people a lot of money. Robert Leshner, Compound, bunch of like heavy hitters. Guess how many people there were in that live stream? So we got Jorgor Kluner says 250, Bean says 100, Georg says Kluners, Angela says 200, PT says 38, and you know who's the winner? PT is the winner. It was closer to around 50. So yeah, that's the state of crypto. That feels like the state of crypto. Like 50 people watching these people, like billionaires talk, and I mean, that's ridiculous if you think about it, right? I mean, there's so much knowledge there. It's okay. There's knowledge and also Solana bashing there, but if you think about it, right? If this was during a bull market, there'll be thousands of people because they're looking for alpha, especially back in the day when Andre would tweet, thousands of people would just be like waiting for his next project to come out. So I kind of see that this is a very interesting time. It is a time when a lot of people are taking vacations. I mean, prior to this, I was talking to my own channel too, and I'm gonna throw Rob under the bus here. And he's on vacation. He's traveling on a bunch of locations right now. So it's unfortunate, It's unfortunate that a lot of people are kind of just like going away AFK during this time. I'm glad you guys are all here. I mean, we have a very good audience here, but it is the case that right now. It is a little bit boring. So having a game out, having something to entertain us, I think that's gonna be it's gonna be good, especially if people are traveling. Hey, they need a game, right? York says, "Thanks for all the support here. I'm just trying to read the chat right now whilst I'm waiting for Athena to come back from all this."
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. Yes.
Okay, great. Sorry, I was just fixing it just then.
Awesome. All good.
Yep, all good. Should we move on to the next question?
Yes, sure, of course.
So what do you think of MetaGod's most updated roadmap? We have recently changed some of our features on the roadmap.
Oh, this is gonna be man. You're good at asking loaded questions, aren't you? I feel like I'm gonna have
to be very prepared for Michael to come.
Yeah, and I think like the community is gonna also chime in here, but roadmaps are interesting. Roadmaps are kind of it's loaded. Okay. I'll answer it this way. All right. So roadmaps give you a rough indication. I've always seen that as a rough indication of what people are going to do and what they're going to build. I think the team is, like, from what I've seen and I talked to the team, like, they're on track on the back end of everything. So from the server side, it seems like they've got a good handle on dealing with the back end and how to handle even basic stuff like anti-cheat, etc. Now, regarding the key features that's going to come out, I think casual mode being one of the top priorities. I did actually spot that the community actually really wants, like, if you look at character staking, people really want the casual mode to come out. What I actually kind of feel like is that the team needs to experiment something. That's the kind of the danger of a roadmap, because the roadmap doesn't give you room to experiment on kind of new gameplay and new aspects. And I kind of take the Y Combinator approach to roadmaps, which is like, as long as you kind of engage in that community and start delivering, that's kind of the most, I know it sounds weak AF, right? But that's kind of the key behind every successful Y Combinator project. It's something that a lot of these startup guys taught me very early on, is that you need to find what works well for the game. And I think that's where kind of MetaGods needs to find their ground. Obviously, what I'm kind of seeing here is that the 2D MMORPG, I think that's going to be the biggest, the grail, but kind of on the way there, MetaGods needs to find kind of these core ideas and even like kind of core pillars in these ideas, where if these ideas really catch on, the team needs to double down on the good ideas, right? So I think that's kind of the core here. And so instead of rather than looking at a roadmap, I'm kind of more looking at, can the team produce something that is going to be pivotal, that people can use and play within this year's time frame? And if they do experiment, if you guys do experiment as well, I think it's important to kind of look at the feedback from the experimentations and look for new ideas there as well. So I think that's the kind of the core that I'm looking for. So I'm not too concerned about a roadmap. That's, yet again, when I talk to the engine guys, I mean, just back in the old days, they'll be constantly changing something. They'll be like, yeah, we want to make a blockchain explorer now. Oh, we want to make engine X. We want to make the wallet. The wallet needs to be key. We need to add Bitcoin to the wallet. They had these crazy ideas, and some of them really caught on. Like, for example, the wallet. I think if they didn't explore the wallet, engine wouldn't be where they are today, because with the wallet, they can gain an insane amount of user base. And then they kind of, when the wallet came out, they realized they can use that to get airdrops, right? So it's not just about the roadmap, but how you have a core pillar and a core product. And I think that's kind of more important.
Thank you, Michael. So how do you see the correlation between a game project and the community?
All right. Okay. So this is very weird, because when in traditional game development, you kind of turtle and you develop a game without a community for a long period of time, and then you announce it to your community, so you have a lot of surprise, right? So a good video you can refer to is God of War. So there's actually a 2-hour documentary about God of War when they kind of pivoted from like this, their old PlayStation games to the PlayStation 4. They kind of changed the angle. They changed they kind of changed the entire game. They overworked the entire battle system, and they did not have the community support. They only had a few people kind of guiding them along. And I think that's the difference between crypto games and regular games. Regular games, when developed, they don't really engage the community that much during the development process. So now we're kind of moving to the phase where we can get the community involved a lot sooner. So I feel like this is a good time for the team to, like, for you guys to engage. And I think, yet again, fill in a backstory here. Why I'm here is that the team also asked me to kind of fill in some content and knowledge during this time, because they want to engage the community. So I definitely feel it's a situation where having the community to develop the product is much better than without. And on top of this as well, if you actually look at how Binance actually evolved over time as well, they were very, very close to that community. Like the Binance community, especially with their Angels program, that is super strong. Like they were able to grow in multiple different countries. They were able to get the user feedback very early on to improve their products. And Binance, if you actually look at it, was an evolving product. They had an exchange, but it wasn't, it wasn't too special. But what made it special was the community. So I see the ambassador program coming from MetaGods. I think that's actually quite sexy. And being able to grow this community, like I see the chats just going crazy right now. So being able to grow this community, that's going to be sexy. Angela Wang says that those Binance Angels were hardcore, definitely.
Okay, so my final question to you is, so as our community know, we're announcing some exclusive news tonight. So Michael, will you do the honors of telling our community about our upcoming features?
Sure. Let me get everything perfect first. So let me just give me 1 second. Sorry, this is a very loaded question, which actually requires me to actually look into my notes to make sure that I actually have everything right. So
no worries, take your time.
So all right, so one of the things that's quite interesting that's not purely game is it feels so weird because yet again, like I'm doing this as someone that's viewing this from outside, but Jack actually pitched me this super well. So I'll kind of relay what Jack kind of told me and his vision. So this is the social hub. So it's kind of interesting because I got a direct pitch from Jack about this. Yet again, we did have a call a little bit earlier throughout the last 2-3 weeks, and in many ways, this is also me agreeing to a very interesting direction, which is right now we see there's kind of the concept of metaverse growing, and I think that what metaverse is very defined is in the game, but the game is only one pillar, right? And the way that Jack described it was he wanted something to allow this kind of metaverse also to expand. So being able to be a hub for people to kind of even walk around in and engage in is kind of core. So that's kind of where the social hub, as I understand it, came about. It was a way for, it's almost like a beyond game concept where people can gather. We've seen that in Decentraland, right? So we've seen Decentraland being this 3D hub that everyone can get into. But but what's kind of interesting is 3D is actually not very business friendly, right? It's because something kind of interesting that happened in Hong Kong was that we went into lockdown phase and people kind of needed these office productivity tools. And this is where the metaverse comes in. I mean, you see Facebook trying to do that with the AR, augmented reality, VR stuff. And I'm like, VR, AR offices don't work right now. People are going to throw the fuck up. Can I swear here? I hope so. But people are going to throw the fuck up if they just use AR and VR and play it. If you ever try to do what the Oculus does, it doesn't work. And 3D doesn't really work for kind of an virtual office environment. And the way I see it is that MetaGods can actually become the social hub that's beyond just purely gaming. So I think that's something that Jack pitched to me super, super well, right? Like he was passionate about it, and he kind of saw the potential because the technology that's behind MetaGods allows for many people to interact, which is exactly what programs like Gather or Timiko or I think there's a bunch of others that are all these kind of virtual office space, virtual space, virtual events, cozy virtual event spaces. So this is something that's going to be huge in the next decade or so, right? In the next 5 or not even 5 years, next few years. There's a lot of work from home. There's a lot of virtual remote working. There's a lot of decentralized working, and being able to have a social hub that connects everything is important. So I was pitched that, and that's kind of the direction I feel like it's quite sexy. It could actually become like, you know how I was talking about core pillars, like the game will be one pillar, but the social hub could actually be something that's a huge pillar for MetaGods. I'm still seeing that in community. The community seems quite new to this, so I was actually reviewing the NFT staking, and a lot of people weren't actually jumping on board the social hub train. But I feel it's because they haven't had the direct pitch from Jack. Like when Jack pitched me that, I was like, bam, like that makes sense, right? Like MetaGods, like the technology backend allows for people to just be connected. Like even like for this, right? For an event like this where we just sit here and chat, you know, we could be doing that in MetaGods, right? And it's so easy to do it, and it's so accessible. Like, you know how I'm bitching about VR. VR is not great for anyone, but like a 2D environment where everyone can just walk around, you know, they can listen to BOXMINING if they can, if they're interested, or they can walk away and play a game, you know, like they can fuck off, play a game. When there's a more interesting topic, they can come back, right? But you know, that could be something interesting with the social hub. So, anyways, that's kind of what I'm actually kind of really excited for. So I feel like that's something that's not everyone's here is convinced about yet, but I feel like it's a teamwork. You know, the community needs to come together. They need to understand what the hell is going on, and then they need to understand why the decisions are being made. So, you know, I like the social hub has my vote. You know, my NFT character is going to sit there. That's where I'm going to go for it.
I'm definitely looking forward to having future AMAs with you in the MetaGods social hub.
Awesome. That would be awesome. That would be super awesome. People seems like the community loves you, man. Seems like the community loves you. So, Athena, you gotta do this more often. You guys.
I should talk to them more, maybe.
Definitely. Blue Foxes, we love you both.
Yeah, I'm sure they love you more, Michael. Should we move on to some?
Please, let's go.
Should we move on to some community questions?
Yeah, they say not BOXMINING. BOXMINING has no love. BOXMINING has Athena has all the love. There we go. You guys don't need me.
No.
All right, let's move on to some community questions and answers.
Yeah.
All right, so okay, do you want to pick or do you want me to pick?
You should pick.
I should pick, right? All right. Let me read some stuff out. This was a long comment, but wow, that's a long question. Man, I can't read words right now. Okay.
Let's see.
Okay. Oh, this is a good question. To Michael. As a project influencer, is there any tip that you want to share with the project founders in building their community or pulling a successful project? Because the growth of the project is not only on the influencer, but also on the projects too. Wow, that's giving me some ammunition. That's giving me some ammunition to say some stuff. So I've definitely been talking to them. So I actually schedule regular talks. You probably noticed that I'm not as active on YouTube. That's not because I'm lazy. All right, a lot of people mistake it. They think I'm lazy. I don't do stuff anymore. I'm just traveling the world. I am not. I'm actually also kind of like stealthily building the background, but also taking on calls, calling the team, and getting updated. So I'll repeat what I tell Jack almost all the time here. But just so you guys hear what it is first of all, it's communication. Like I said, being a crypto game, you need to. The benefit is having a community very early and having people to support it very early. But the downside of that is you constantly have to give updates, right? So being able to talk, so doing something like this is great, but obviously I'll probably push the team to say, hey, they gotta also come out. So it's great to see you, Athena, coming out to talk, but also I think more members need to come and talk and just kind of let people understand where things are going, providing the vision for a project. Because I feel like a lot of people here, like I'm reading through the comments throughout the stream, I think a lot of people are just bent on a few key aspects, which is like, oh, when roadmap, when pump, when pumpster. But rather, I think they're good questions, they're really good questions, but also kind of the vision of where things going and understanding the dynamics on the team. And I guess also where things succeed and they fail. I think Binance does it super well. I hate to reference Binance all the time, but some Binance projects fail, right? Like Binance Jex. I'm pretty sure you guys have not heard of it because they shoved it under a rug. But there are a few experimentations that fail. But being able to kind of explain that to the community, like what worked, what didn't work, what worked like super well, what didn't work super well, what was beyond expectations, what was under expectations, that's going to be super epic for the community to understand, because then the community understands, okay, these guys are trying, these guys are smart, these guys are identifying, they're using logic to progress. I think that's kind of what I'm looking for. It maybe not with everyone, but I think that's what I will look for in a project. All right, choosing. So that question came from Mary. All right,
Mary,
so
yeah.
Mary. All right. Wow, there's so many words, man. I think I'm after being in crypto for such a long time, I feel like I'm almost dyslexic.
Everyone just wants to rush their question in for you to answer.
Yeah, but there's lots of good words. I think this community is really strong in that sense. There's actually a lot of people actually typing long sentences. I mean, I'm not gonna diss my community, but a lot of times, you know, most comments revolve around Wind Moon, Acer. Just DJ Michael, it's okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Okay, your Cluners. All right, I'm going to answer. He's been here quite a bit. So, Michael, thanks for being here and for all the support. I hope we will be raiding together someday. I hope so too. I hope I also pronounce your name right. How does a project like this with clear use differ from a lot of meme tokens or projects, especially with the current market conditions? Oh, that's a good question. That's an amazing question. So, I love to hate meme tokens, all right? You know, meme tokens don't really provide concrete value. For me, I'm a very value guy. I think I'm OG in that sense, where I'm a very value guy, where I feel like if I'm buying something, I want that to change and make a difference. So Engine obviously made a big difference. I told you guys, you know, one of the big game guys that kind of really started a lot of the gaming foundation. Free show for Engine here, but I also kind of like I kind of want a change. That's why I was very big on DeFi. I kind of wanted traditional finance. That was kind of the whole DeFi pitch, where you know we can cut out the banks. So with gaming, I kind of see gaming as you know a way to bring life to even the current gaming scene. I kind of feel like there was a lack of innovation for a period of time, and with this whole concept of being in a metaverse, we can explore different concepts. Like, can we bring different items into different games? Can we make items cross games? Can we like have ownership of bosses, player ownership of dungeons? You know, that would be that's cool. That's actually fun, right? So it has to be in a guided way. And how this experimentation works, I think is going to be very interesting. But I think we're going to see some kind of surprising results here, because when you engage community like that, I think that's when power almost always comes. GB says something big coming tomorrow. That's up to you guys, man. That's up to you guys. That fuck says I freaking hate waiting for shit. All right, that fuck. Okay, let me tell you, dude. Let me tell you, waiting for shit sucks, right? But making shit for 3 years sucks too, all right? I mean, when I was in game dev, we've been working in the same fucking game for 3 years. And there are so many times you can play the intro to one game. I think I literally played, like, during the intense testing phases for my own game back in the day, I will play the same intro level 6 times every single fucking day, because we were constantly changing things and we're constantly optimizing like how the flow for that was. And because the first 30 minutes were super important for a free-to-play game, I constantly had to play that. So if you want to hate yourself, you know, go into game dev, because yeah, you're gonna see a lot of hate. You're gonna feel the pain, man. Okay, we have PT answering a question. How much influence does the choice of a chain, BSC in MetaGod's case, make on the potential growth of a project? I'm invested in another project built on BSC, and there's a general feeling that games on BSC grow relatively slower compared to other games built on other chains. Good question. So ETH obviously has the head start here, but of course, ETH being the juggernaut that it is, constantly crashes, and that's kind of problematic. And I'm not gonna bash things here, but I mean, if you guys look at the Ape other side land sale yesterday, it was very clear that ETH just kind of broke for a few hours. So chain choice does have a big kind of impact, I would say. And if you look at Solana, they kind of shut down. They kind of like broke for 7 hours, right? So BSC has its problems too. BSC, I've seen BSC just kind of break, and because there's no gas priority on BSC, like when BSC like screws up, it's completely game over. So it does have like an impact, but I kind of see that cross chain becoming kind of big. So I'm not sure if anything is fatal at this current point. I think experimenting on the game is more important than coin choice, but the chain choice. But chain choice kind of decides on the community as well. I do see the good side of BSC guys are that they're very willing to experiment, but the downside is that I do see BSC guys giving up faster than ETH guys. Like ETH guys stick around for longer because if they've been around for longer, and BSC guys kind of chase. They kind of tend to chase the latest trend more. So I feel like, it probably isn't the best to kind of engage in one single chain for everything, but rather to be kind of able to do multi-chain. So there.
Let's see.
Yeah.
For the fourth question.
Oh, that's a lot of questions. All right, I'm gonna do some super dumb questions. This is a way for me to. What are the long-term sustainable value drivers for MGod token? I honestly feel it's token use case. So, kind of I think there's this kind of cycle, right? So, MGod needs to have two kind of long-term use cases, which is like being able to use MGod in game, but also the relic token hasn't been released. The way it's supposed to work is that kind of relics functions as a secondary token. So I kind of see like the token ecosystem forming. That's kind of the only way that this really will work out. So yeah, I think that's something that, yet again, I talked to Jack quite a bit about this, but I think it's not translated to what's happening, everything here. All right.
Okay. Final question.
Can we have Athena talk more? Talk about her hobby, unrelated to MetaGods is okay. All right. Says GB. All right. Yeah, Athena, what do you do? What games do you like?
In my free time, I like to go on YouTube and
watch BOXMINING, right? Clearly.
Of course. Mining is the first
in reality, after you close that most punchable face on YouTube, what do you do?
I like playing mobile games. And,
which one?
Such as Pubg.
Wow. Okay. Which type of Pubg player are you? The ones that run away, or the one that runs towards gunfire?
The ones that run towards the gunfire, but I die immediately once I run towards them.
All right, we gotta do a PUBG tournament sometime, guys. We gotta do a PUBG tournament.
Yeah, with
That's
the community.
that's it. Then we're gonna watch how Athena dies, or we're gonna protect Athena depending on what this community wants. But
I'm sure
we can be your
they'll defend
bodyguards.
me. Yeah. Yes, please.
I see instant love for Athena PUBG.
We should set up a guild on PUBG.
Sure, why not?
Yeah,
The
okay.
MetaGods guild. All right,
Yeah.
let's go.
Definitely. Okay, so unfortunately, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you once again, Michael, for joining us and for your time and insight.
Pashios is downloading PUBG now. All right.
Okay, I'll add you as a friend
PUBG.
after the AMA. And thank you everyone for
right.
joining us today. We really appreciate it. And we'll reach out to the winners
and then you gotta
shortly
charge
as
money.
well.
You better charge money for people to add you on PUBG, right? So you have to be part of the Athena DAO, and then you buy Athena DAO with MetaGods tokens. That's how it works, right?
I'll send my wallet address to the chat, and everyone who pays me, I'll send you my PUBG name.
That's great. All right, guys.
Okay,
All right,
thank you so much, Michael.
Thank you. Cheers.
Thank you. Take care. Goodbye.
Take care, guys. Peace.